Hey guys, it's Mark Holthe, Canadian immigration lawyer, back with another live Q&A on the Canadian Immigration Institute YouTube channel, on our Facebook page, in the Express Entry Law private Facebook group, and wherever else this is getting streaming to. So I want to just say welcome to everybody. It seems like it's been a long time. For a while, we were pushing out videos almost every other day. So it's absolutely strange sometimes when it's been almost a week, I guess, since I've last pushed something out. So as I was looking at our at the YouTube channel, yeah, it was 6 days ago that I streamed the new program delivery update for the TR to PR pathway program. So we're going to talk a little bit about this crazy draw that we had. I'm going to remind people once again where they can get some information about the TR to PR pathway. We also know that acknowledgements of receipt are slowly coming out. And I want you to tell me if you've had a bad experience. I want you to be prepared to post in the comments if you've had your application returned or rejected, because I haven't heard anything yet. We don't know ultimately what that's going to mean for the TR to PR pathway, but we can talk about that. And as always, we will have our Q&A session. Now, if you have questions, hold off on those. We will get to those in a little bit. And I will give you the green light, and then we'll start answering those questions. But we'll talk a little bit about what's happening in immigration, and then we'll jump into the Q&As. All right, so there's a bunch of people that are all jumping in here, and what I'd like you to do, as always, is to let me know where you're listening from. I don't know, there's just something about seeing where this channel is reaching that I just love to see, and I'll never get tired of. So if you guys have the ability to just list where you're tuning in from, like Ankit here, that would be awesome. I also am waiting to see if this connection is actually reaching Facebook. Oh, there we go. Okay. Good morning, Nina. So we do have, it is hitting Facebook, which is good. So let's see who else that we have. So please post where you're tuning in from, and let's say hello. Oh, thank you, Prince. Yes, I did have a chat with the minister. I will talk about that today. Thank you for that note, that little reminder. And yes, Agam, it seems like it's a long time. Okay, we've got Amit, who's down in Virginia. That's great. I think we're all hoping that this pandemic is at its end, and that things will start to open up. My heart, like I said, always goes out to all of you out there who are outside of Canada with expired COPRs, with PR applications that are pending, with people that are just hoping that there's going to be another draw that reaches outside of this landmass we call Canada. You know, those open draws, it's been quite a while since we've had those. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Mahesh says he's watching on lunch break. That's dedication, Mahesh. That's fantastic. Okay, all right, we've got Thesura's over in Sri Lanka. Doing good, Thesura, good to see you. Let's see what else we have here. Oh, we've got Ralph. Yes, is my absolute brother from another mother. Okay, let's see where everybody's tuning in from. Okay, so we've got Tunisia here. Osama, good to see you. Let's see what else we have here for people that are connecting in. Yep, so we've got YouTube representation here. Great. Sam's in Toronto. That's awesome. Thanks, Ashwani. I appreciate that. All right. And when you don't do a ton, it takes a while to kind of get back into the groove. Now, who am I kidding? Like, I've been producing tons of content, you guys. So, but I've been spending a lot of time just really researching on better ways that I can produce content. This right now is awesome. The live Q&As are super, super effective to getting out, to reaching out to you guys. We've got Jeet, who's in St. John's. We've got Cy in Mississauga. Prince is up in Alaska. Very cool. So this is a really, really good venue for me to connect with you guys, to answer your questions, to try to help as many people as possible. But I am learning based on, well, really, if I go back here to the YouTube channel and I look at the most popular videos that I've done, And if I scroll through here, you'll see that the TR to PR pathway, this one now is up to about 41,000. And so I'm slowly starting to learn that the videos that I'm doing that are shorter, that are recorded and not actual live.
Were you recently injured in a car accident?
No,
Look at this check for $160,000.
I clicked the wrong one. That's funny. So what I'm realizing is that the shorter videos tend to be easier for you guys to consume. Let's face it, a live session, just like we're doing right now, the live session is really, really tricky because people that are looking for specific information, and here's the live right here, are struggling because they can't find that within the context of a big, long, 1 hour long video live stream, and that's fine. So there's certain people of you that are willing to stick it out and try to get your question answered. Obviously, I can't answer everybody's questions. And then there's others that just want that quick win, the little bit of information that's super helpful. So that is the direction that I'm going to start going. But yes, I have a big, busy practice. I did 9 consultations on Monday. And I had reviews yesterday, and I'm very, very busy just with my regular practice representing people. So I'm not having as much time to do these live sessions as, well, I don't have as much time. The live sessions will always happen, but to do the pre-recorded videos. So I'm experimenting with workflows to actually do that and to make it more efficient. So stay tuned because there's going to be more coming out. All right, so back to what we were chatting about. There's been a few developments that I do want to talk about. One is, I think what everybody's talking about is this latest draw. So the round of invitations from Express Entry, we received a surprise one on May 31st. And what was the draw amount? Well, it was the comprehensive ranking system score was 380, which is next to that massive, massive draw 176 where they pulled out 27,332. This one here, they pulled just under 6,000, but 380. And that is super low. And I knew that eventually if they kept doing large draws that it would go down. But this is a very, very positive development for people who maybe missed that big draw and have scores in the low 300s, the mid 300s. So can it go down to 350? Well, of course it could. Absolutely it could. We know that they could scoop everybody out again. And so the rule, at least what we're trying to get at right now, is that you need to be prepared for anything. And what are the bottlenecks? Well, the bottlenecks are your language testing, educational credential assessments if you're outside of Canada, or if you're claiming, education from outside of Canada. You want to make sure that you have everything ready in place, police certificates, your medicals, those kinds of things that in the moment that you need them, although police certificates and medicals are not super, super critical, we saw what was happening with the TR to PR pathway program, right? We could see that because of what was, because they gave very little notice, people that weren't ready just weren't ready. And so once again, I'm going to ask all of you guys out there, when you, if you've received an acknowledgement of receipt, I want to know, were there mistakes in your application? Did you have something that you needed to correct or fix? You are the ones that I want to hear from. So if you received an acknowledgement of receipt and you had some problems with it, that's somewhat of an indication that maybe immigration isn't going to be as cruel as we thought they potentially could be. But I can tell you that I'm not holding out any. I'm not, until I see people getting their acknowledgements of receipt and their ability to fix things. I'm going to treat my little stand here is like messing around on me here. I'm going to adjust this. I can tell right now that I'm not advising anyone to take any chances. One thing I will point out as well, if we go back here to the YouTube channel, make sure that you go back and you watch the most recent update that I did 6 days ago. So this TR to PR pathway one right here, this one I go into detail as to how I'm advising people to deal with their application. So if you missed that one, go back and watch it, especially the beginning stages before we go to the Q&A portion, because I go into depth on my strategy for trying to give you basically to give yourself the best chance of success of getting your TR to PR approved if you have made mistakes. So take a look at that. And then we also, in the context of this, the program delivery instructions right here, these ones are the ones that the officers are using when they're assessing these applications. And there's some things that I pulled out when I went through and talked about this stuff, but you have to understand that there's still a lot of questions that have not yet been answered. Okay. Yes. So back to the draw, like I said, 380. And if you go back to the previous rounds of invitations, you guys will see that, the normal schedule, everything is up in the air. Nothing is predictable. They did a PNP draw of 500 here on the 26th. And then May 31st, they did a big 380. Okay. And so they just did one May 20th. So May 20th to the 31st, we've got 11-day separation there. And and then here we've got a 7-day one between two draws. So one thing that is consistent is that they're sticking with the CEC and the PNP for now, but we are seeing things start to change, aren't we, guys? We're starting to see provinces looking to open things up. And so we'll keep our fingers crossed, because how soon are they going to start doing those, the outland draws? Well, as soon as we see a change with respect to the orders in council and the border restrictions, the travel restrictions, that's when we're going to start to see change. Okay, let's see. We got Huron is over in Toronto. We got Parth in Toronto. Anastasia's in Vancouver. Abdi's in Ontario. Lagos, great. Atoyo, good to see you. And we've got Jamcan. Kemi's in Kelowna. Oh, beautiful weather in Kelowna right now. Bangalore, we've got Kalapi. Good to see you from Bangalore. So we've got pretty good representation. Over Ontario, we've got Kitchener. Manvi, good to see you. Yep. Thesura, I will talk about the meeting with the minister. Okay, let's see what else we have going on here. We've got Vishwesh is over in Ottawa, and Boudica is in Richmond Hill. Brandon, we've got MP over in Brandon, Manitoba, and Shiva's in Winnipeg. Good, Manitoba connection. Looks like we've got everything. I'm wondering if there's someone from Saskatchewan that's tuning in. Another person from Winnipeg. Oh, cool. Amsterdam, the Shining Star. And then Yesway's in Montreal. Good to see you. A background image. Okay, so I'm here for your background image, but you have a boring one now. Just kidding. All right, Abhishek, you opened up the door. So here's what I did on the weekend. I'm going to share this with you guys. This is my son who is fishing, and we got ourselves a little drone. And this is the most beautiful place that I love to go fishing with my son. We've got the canoe. We paddle back up through the water, but oh, it was a beautiful day on the weekend. And so this is just a little bit of a quick little shot with our drone of him fishing. So I thought I'd just share that with you guys. There we go. So how is that? Is that a little bit better? So that's something that I'm going to plan on showing you guys. Oh, look at that. Nicholas is in Saskatoon. Awesome. Oh, and then we've got Monsi's in Lethbridge, right where I am, Lethbridge, Alberta. This is awesome. But yeah, anyways, the with my son here, this it up, doing something different. Hope you like that, Abhishek. Awesome. Okay, we've got Waterloo representation. That's excellent. And it's good to see you, Jay. We've got Renz is in Alberta. Yep, Shining Stars in Amsterdam. We've got that. That's great. Sometimes my little system here picks it up twice and duplicates things. Simerjad is in Halifax. Good morning, Nessa, over in Vancouver. And Jose, or Jose, depending on the pronunciation, is in Toronto. Great connection here. We've got Ontario as well. Dubai, excellent. Hopefully soon from Canada. That would be wonderful, Noran. It would be wonderful. Okay. And we've got Quebec representation. That's great. Hamilton. Awesome. Thanks, guys. I love when you do that. And And then we've got Mauritius. We've got Elizabeth is also in Lethbridge. Fantastic. This is exciting. I love this. This is great. From the hometown. Good to see all of you guys here. This is fantastic. And okay, we've got Brampton and all over the place. Yeah, there's tons. So thanks guys for giving me that shout out. Okay, what I want to do, yes, we've got Queen City, Regina. Yes, it is, Parth. Excellent. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, as we go through this process, I do want to open it up. And as I indicated before, we don't know. So if you've had an acknowledgement of receipt, please let me know. And most importantly, let me know if you had any mistakes or anything within it, because that is going to then confirm whether or not there might be an opportunity to officially fix things. So let me know about that. Okay. All right. So let's take just a second. So yes. So if you, let me see if I can even find it here. Let's see. Actually, I'll take you on the journey. Let's go. Let's do the Google search journey here. So I'm just going to type in here, CBA Immigration Conference 2021 online symposium. So if we go here, okay, and then we'll just pull up the one for immigration here, which is this one. So it's stretched over almost a month. So it's stretched over from May, well, not quite a month, but May 28th to June 17th. And on the first day, right here in the opening plenary, I had a Q&A session with Minister Mendicino. And he also was kind enough to award and to present the volunteer awards. And every year we acknowledge 3 volunteer of the years who have just been giving. And remember, anyone, all of us lawyers involved with the Canadian Bar Association Immigration Section, we're not paid a dime. This is an entirely volunteer situation. So we're all volunteers. But yeah, so that session right there, the volunteer, the opening plenary, if I open this up right here, you'll see that this opening plenary that happened on Friday of just last week, I was the the individual that was moderating this and the session with the minister. So what was covered? So a couple things I asked him. One was, I asked him 2 questions, and ministers are always really, really keen to kind of answer the question they want to answer and not necessarily the one that is posed to them. But Minister Mendicino was actually really, really great. He took some time at the beginning, and some of you have seen similar presentations where he kind of gave a little bit of an overview about all the positive things that were occurring in spite of the pandemic. But when it comes to the in-Canada options that are being presented, the reality is nothing is going to open. Okay, there was no hint about things opening yet because the pandemic drives everything. The orders in council drive everything, which I've told you guys repeatedly. So I asked him specifically for the TR to PR pathway, I asked him specifically about bridging open work permits. And I asked him about, which of course we know it's not officially a bridging work permit because this is a Section 25 humanitarian and compassionate application. I asked him specifically about whether or not they would have some work option. And his answer was they were looking into it. Okay. And then I also asked him, you guys, about the expansion of the TR to PR pathway program, if they would extend it or they would reopen it up for, yes, you international graduates. So those are some of the questions that I had asked the minister. And in both cases, he couldn't confirm anything with me, but he had indicated that these were things that they have been looking into and are exploring the possibilities. But realistically, he said, we need to see where things are at. We need to see the numbers that are coming in. And as you know, that's why I'm so keenly interested in anyone who's had an acknowledgement of receipt and maybe had some mistakes in it. And if you received an AOR and you had mistakes, then potentially there's an opportunity to go in and to submit that web form and to fix it. So they may not refuse it outright. So we don't know for sure, but that's something that I'm curious. So please post in the comments if that was, if you've received an acknowledgement of receipt and whether or not you had mistakes. Okay. Okay. So I think we have, bonjour to you in Montreal. From the New West. Okay, great. Okay, so what I'm going to have you guys do now, as we are kind of at the bottom, what I'd like you to do is, like I said, if you've got an acknowledgement of receipt, please let me know, but I'll start taking questions now. And so, excuse me. So basically, if you want to post your questions, I'll start taking those now and we'll go through them. As I'm going through, I know it's going to pull out a few other things that I'll probably expand on a little bit more. That's always how it is. But we'll start here with Pranita, and I'll get to this question in a second. Okay, so one of the things I do want to let you know as well within the conversation with the minister, one of the things we talked about, and I'm the national chair for our Canadian Bar Association's immigration section, I specifically asked him about the role of counsel, the role of lawyers in the context of assisting you with your applications. Now, you guys have seen what I do. Those of you who've watched my videos in the past know that within my firm, I do things a little bit differently. I don't represent in the traditional sense. Instead, I give you the tools and the resources to file your own application, whether that's through my master classes, whether that's through the course material that I have. When it comes to people who want assistance, I've found that my collaborative review model is far more effective if someone is a DIYer at heart, like all of you guys are. You wouldn't be watching this if you weren't. And so I found that model actually works the best because it allows me to work directly with you. I give you access to my course material. You use that to prep the first parts of the application. I educate you. I teach you everything I know. And then at that stage, we do comprehensive reviews. I call them a forensic review. Yes, collaborative, because you and I work together, but it is like super, super detailed. And that is how I do the representation. So I work with you to review everything. And then once the time comes to submit, then the application is submitted and you carry it forward yourself. So that's the model that I followed. And you can click on the link whenever you connect with our firm in any way. You can go here and you can click on book a consult or click the link below, and all of the representation in whatever fashion always starts with a paid consultation. There's a ton that comes out of there. So it's not just you paying me money to tell me your story. The consults are designed to give you as much help, as much information as you could possibly get in that 25-minute or 50-minute section. So that's why it's there. Now, I do want to share one thing with you guys here, and that's you know that things are going well in your firm when someone takes the time to hack your website. So someone did. So some of you who are trying to book a consult, if you went in here and clicked on, book a consult right here, that would have directed you to somewhere else, because somehow someone got in there and was adjusting our website a little bit. So you're doing something right when people are finding it worth their time to go and cause disruption. So, so big shout out to Igor, who's helped me to fix that. And I guess we're here, right? I guess we've arrived. I guess we're a law firm that's worth reckoning with. We're a simple law firm. We make life simple for our clients. We're not complex. We don't have a whole bunch of moving parts, but it's just simple. Now, actually, one last thing that I do want to share with you guys that really, really made me sad, unbelievably sad, that I heard over this past week. Let's see here. I'm just going to find it. Okay, so right here, this is what I want to share with you guys. And I'm going to just pull up this one. Okay, right here. Okay, now many of you probably know Canada Visa, and this is CIC News. And usually I don't highlight or point out what other firms are doing because I've got enough to worry about my own. But I was very, very saddened to hear of the passing of David Cohen. And when it says here, a tribute to a Canadian immigration icon, it is 100% correct. David, I've had unbelievable respect for what he's done. He really was the pioneer in so many ways with the use of the internet. The whole, Canada Visa site is unbelievable for giving people information. The CIC News is just unparalleled, and he was just a genius. And with him passing away, my heart goes out to him and his family. and even his firm, everybody that works with him, because he's, I had just an unbelievable amount of respect. And even in the early days, I was very, very, what's the best, like impressed is probably not the right word. He's really someone that I wanted to be able to kind of pattern after. Now, the way he structured his firm and the way Canada Visa is set up, it's more of a traditional kind of, large volume firm. And that's not something that I wanted, because as a lawyer, I wanted to work more directly with my clients, which isn't the model of Canada Visa. But wow, David was a genius, and the world of immigration really, really did lose a good guy. And so sincerest condolences to his family and to all those around him that are suffering for his loss right now. And really all of us are. So yeah, so just a short little tribute to David. And like I said, condolences to his family and all, and I wish all the best for all of those that are now going to have to continue on without his leadership. So just a big shout out to David. Okay. So yes, I did want to share that with all of you. Okay, let's dive in and let's get to the questions. And so I think we started with Pranita here. There was a typo in one letter of my postal code in my pay stub. Should I file a web form to fix that? Pranita, there's a certain stage at which it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. IDRM. That's what I coined. That's one of the phrases that I coined in the TR to PR pathway course right here. This one right here, one of the things that we talked about in our little course was the fact that sometimes you'll have little mistakes that are really not a big factor. They're not going to play a huge role in what's transpiring with the processing of your application, and this is one of them. Pranita, I don't think that really makes a difference at all. It's not going to impact on your application. It's not going to get your application refused because there was a typo in your postal code on your pay stub. Because remember, the pay stub is something that your employer is producing. And so whether they keyed it in, it's not something that you've done improperly, and it doesn't form a substantial enough, part of your application to justify there being a refusal on that ground. My goodness, Pranita, if that happened, then you're going to definitely want to reach out, and we'll look into this and see what we can do to sort it out, because that's not grounds for a refusal. Okay, and remember to always put your Q, just like Pranita does. Okay, Emily says, for the Canadian Experience class, proof of funds is not necessary. I am actually now in Canada, and I will submit my Express Entry profile soon. That's great, Emily. Yeah, it's not required. You're going to upload in that section. You're going to specifically state that you were drawn under the Canadian Experience class if that was the case, and therefore you do not need to provide settlement funds. All right, let's see who's next here. Okay, Ali says that I have an ITA for CEC. Congratulations. That's awesome news. I wonder if we can do this. Oh, here we go. I got to turn it on. Oh, it's a delayed clap. There we go. Okay, Ali says, I have an ITA for CEC. The portal is now asking me to upload proof of relationship to my Canadian uncle. I can't get the document, sadly. Can I edit my profile to remove him and explain it in the LOE? You're not going to remove him, Ali, because the question asks, do you have a family member in Canada? What you're going to do is you're going to provide an LOE in that spot that explains why you can't get it. That's basically what you're going to do. And when it's done correctly, it's never a problem, Ali. Okay. All right. The first TR to PR pathway. Okay. I worked more than 1560 paid, but I don't have a T4. From the guide, it shows T4 or work contracts or pay stub. Well, only showing work contracts work in this case. Anytime it says an or, then that indicates that you can choose from the options. So if it says T4 or contract or pay stubs, then that means you can choose between one of those three. I include everything that I've got available. If I have the T4s and the pay stubs, I include those. So all of those are acceptable. Excuse me. If, like when it comes to the proving your education, where it says that they want the official transcript, I think it was, and they want the confirmation of completion of graduation, When it says and, then you're in a situation where you have to provide both of them. But yeah, in your situation, you're going to be just fine. Okay, Preet says here, let's see. Okay, IRCC issued instructions to officers to check GCMS notes if an applicant did not submit study or work permit. Does IRCC always write in GCMS that a study or work permit was issued? Preet, it actually forms a part of the whole GCMS system. So it's not as if they are writing something in there. Understand, when you file a study permit or otherwise, it is all of that process of uploading, everything is recorded within GCMS. And that's why GCMS is so, got a real itchy nose here. That's why IRCC is struggling now, because the GCMS system captures everything. And so it's not as if someone is making notes. They're looking to see if you actually applied in a timely fashion to make sure that you were in status. That's what they have the ability to do, because it forms a part of your entire immigration history. Okay, Venetia says, do I need to pay the right of permanent resident fee and biometrics again if I paid while applying TR to PR and now I'm applying CEC, or just application fee in CEC? You are not paying the biometrics fee if you've already paid it for another application. What I recommend is that you provide a letter of explanation saying, here is my receipt, and you can include a copy of that receipt that was paid for the TR to PR pathway in the client information section, and I would not double pay it. You do not need to do that. Okay. The application fee, yes, you're going to do that. With the CEC, understand that it's a different application than your TR to PR. So the application fee, you do have an option within CEC to not pay the right of permanent resident fee, and you can choose to not do that. But ultimately, whichever application goes through first, they're not going to take both right of permanent residence fees. They'll take one and then they'll refund the other one. All right. Good question, Venetia. Okay. Rakesh, what is this? Finally lost my job yesterday after applying TR to PR pathway through International Graduate Stream. Can I work as self-employed at the time of getting result? I will ring that bell, my friend Rakesh, and instruct you to go right over here and book a consult. So this is something that I'm not going to advise you in the context of this, because I need a whole lot more information, my friend. So that's what I recommend, that you go over there. Click on the link below. Okay, Paulo says, have you heard something regarding the TR to PR on when they will send out massive AORs? We just don't know. When I go into my group, the people who are in there, only one person is updated that they've received an acknowledgement of receipt. So how will they treat mistakes? We don't know at this stage. And so in the last meeting with the minister, he was not able to respond to those questions. And what I would point you to, Paulo, just like everybody else, go to the YouTube channel and make sure you watch this one right here, TR to PR pathway. That is what I'm advising people to do right now, so that they know how to protect themselves as best as possible with the challenges that exist when you may have a mistake that could result in an application getting refused. So the key is to update everything you possibly can to try to correct it. Okay. All right. Okay, Parth, I'll try to answer this one. In the student stream, okay, form 5669, okay, I've entered the wrong given names of my mom. I wrote the given name as per her passport instead of mine, and both names are different. What should I do? Parth, once again, book a consult, because I don't know what you've described here. You can always do a web form and update them and correct any mistakes that you've made in a form. But do you re-complete the form, re-sign it, re-upload a new one? Maybe that's what you do. Maybe you provide an LOE that has all that information and then tells the officer, please update that form because there was a mistake. You said here that you entered the wrong given names of your mom. You wrote the given name as per her passport instead of mine. I don't understand what that means, because ultimately, if you're using the name that's in her passport, well, that's correct. And at least as per her passport, you've said. So I recommend that you book a consult and we can sort that out. But the reality is, when it comes to this question, anytime you have any doubts, go right over here and, here's the site, but this will direct you right here to the IRCC web form. And when you're here, you're going to go in and follow the instructions that I provide right here in this video to upload the IRCC web form. And I go into detail on how to do that. So make sure you go over there if you guys haven't done that and watch it, because I gave specific instructions on how I'm advising the people that are, basically booking consults and retaining me. Okay. Okay, Ayesha, she says, hi, Mark. For applying under the French international stream, can an English-speaking apply CLB5 in the TEF, or do you have to be from a French-speaking country? No, you only need to have the French language ability. So it's not tied to your citizenship. All right, George. Hello, my friend. Okay, if eligibility is done, does this mean that I already approved my work experience claim? They didn't call my employer at all, though? No, George, it's possible that they have already gone through there. And if eligibility is completed, that's possible that they have actually completed it. And it's very rare that they would call an employer, George. Very, very rare. But you're well on your way. Okay. Druvy says, hey, I uploaded a failed payment receipt. Would that work? Ooh, I don't know what that is, Druvy. I'm not sure. A failed payment is not an attempt. Like if the payment failed, that means you didn't pay. So I don't know in what world that would ever work. You need to provide evidence that the payment actually went through, and a failed payment specifically is not that. So I would have to suspect that that's just not going to work. Okay. All right, here's a classic. All right, for CEC, my consultant forgot to attach my visa copy on my passport, but submitted my visa. Can I use the web form to submit it? You can always use the web form to submit it. Okay. Okay, this is great feedback. Thank you, Tatiana. I sent a web form and the response was that I did not have an application, TR to PR. That one right there, I ring the bell and I tell you to go over here to our page and book a consult, because this response right here depends on a whole bunch of factors, Tatiana, including what you put into your web form. If that's, if you completed that, what did you put in there? So if it was that I did not have an application TR to PR, then maybe what they're trying to say, and maybe what they're doing now to people, and other may have the same experience, is that they're saying, well, there is no application to tie this to. Well, what you have, and the reason that this is important, is to demonstrate or show that you have made an attempt to correct it. You've made an attempt to update your file. And if you guys remember, when you go through the TR to PR pathway and you're logging in, let's see if I can find it. See, because I don't have a completed one that I'm working off of, I don't have the ability to show you exactly what it looks like when you go in. But if I flip the screen over, when you're in your actual, when you've submitted your application and you're at the, the final stages of filing it, you're going to have, yeah, there's errors. You're going to have at the top, we got all this here, in the top portion, you're going to have a link up there that says how to update your file. And it basically takes you right back here to the web form if you follow it through all of the different links. So in this situation, this is really helpful feedback for everyone, Tatiana, because the reality is, if it's not showing yet, you don't have an acknowledgement of receipt. Maybe this is the tactic that IRCC is going to do, but I don't care, because you've got proof that you made an attempt to upload, and you made an attempt to correct your file through the only means that was made possible to you. And so if I'm going to challenge a refused application in federal court, and file that judicial review application, I'm going to use that as evidence of an attempt to correct the file. So just because they didn't match it up, well, that you had, that you've submitted your application. You've got you can look in your portal and see that it's been filed. For them to say that it doesn't exist is not true, because it's there. So I think it's a good piece of evidence to keep in your back pocket in case something bad happens. But thank you, Tatiana. Very helpful. Okay. I'm going to try to make sure that I get to as many people as I can. Obviously, you guys know that it's not possible to reach everybody here. Oh, here's Kalapi. He says, Mark's collaborative model is excellent. Can vouch for it 100%. Thank you, my friend. I really appreciate that. I can say all day long, about the services that we offer and the things that we do and how we operate in our firm. If you go here and you go to our approach right here and you click on this page, it goes into detail about what the collaborative review approach really is and how it works and how it compares. I even have a video here that I've recorded explaining it for you guys. So yeah, so I appreciate that, Kalapi. That means a lot. And I hope things are going well for you, my friend. Okay, let's see what else we have here as we're zipping through here. Yeah, and so this is a question, Agam. I'll answer yours, and then it will be the same question, the same answer that I give to everybody who asked this. So, got the AOR in December 2020, Outland. All stages passed, only security not started. Any idea how long it will take for the COPR? None. I have no clue at this stage how long it's going to take because we don't know how many are in the backlog. We don't know what the queues are like, and we don't know how many officers are going to be allocated to dealing with your Outland application when things finally start to open up. We just don't know. All right. And that goes for everybody. Okay. Murat says, is Duolingo test accepted for postgrad study permit applications? Murat, I've never heard them accept a Duolingo test. Yeah, I've never heard of that. Azad says, can we apply for TR to PR during implied status? Yes, you can. And now immigration actually calls that maintained status. Okay. Vishvesh says, I corrected my mistake in the TR to PR application through the web form. I just got my medicals done. Shall I upload them through the web form or shall I wait for an AOR? Do you know what, Vishvesh? Go ahead and upload it. And if people continue to get the responses here that Tatiana said, that you don't have a TR to PR, I don't care. Like, upload them anyways until they get this sorted out, until they help us to understand how they're going to deal with this train wreck that's been created because of the very, very short period of time that people had to file. Then in your situation, I would just continue doing exactly what you've done here and upload it through the same pathway that I describe over here in my video, the TR to PR pathway new update. Okay. All right. Zipping along here. Okay. What's next? Okay, Chelsea says, I have 383 points on my express entry, but not 1 year of work. Can I still apply to stay in the pool? No, well, here's the thing. You say you do not yet have 1 year of work. So unless you have the 1 year of work, you're not even going to get through the gate. So you can't submit unless you're eligible through either the Canadian Experience class or the Federal Skilled Worker Program. If you have 1 year of foreign work experience, then you can submit your application. But inside Canada, if you don't yet have the 1 year, then you're just not eligible to proceed, Chelsea. Okay, Angela says, can I claim points for the work experience that is not the most recent, since it was a NOC B and the ones after are C? Absolutely. You can choose work experience. If it's for the Canadian Experience class, you can choose work experience that was, and I'm assuming that's the case with your reference to skilled and unskilled work. It just has to be within the previous 3 years. And if you're going through the Federal Skilled Worker Program, it just has to be within the previous 10 years. All right. Okay, Manish says, I've worked 35 hours per week full-time during the break and 20 hours per week during study. How should that reflect on the reference letter? Manish, if your employer is willing to comply and work with you, then I would do it in blocks of time. From this period of time, if it was May 1st to August 31st, I worked 35 hours per week this year. And then from September 1st to April 30th or whatever it might be, the next year I worked 20 hours per week, then that's how I like to include that, Manish, in the letter. I actually break it down. And when I'm using that for the purposes of the express entry, when I'm entering it in, I will actually break that work history down into separate segments, so that the AI, if you even want to call it that, the comprehensive ranking system, that's the automated system, so that it will calculate your work experience properly and not give you more credit than you were entitled to when it comes to the hours of work. All right. Okay, Prab, this is a good question. I want to study training course for my job, which is less than 6 months, but my postgrad work permit has conditions stating unless authorized, prohibited from attending any academic institution. Any program of study that can be completed in under 6 months, you do not need a study permit to do it. And this statement on your postgrad work permit, I had a consult with someone just this week, just on Monday, about this same thing. It doesn't apply. You can take that course that's under 6 months and you're not breaching your postgrad work permit. Those conditions apply to going back and studying and going to school, where you would need a study permit. But a course of study, like especially work training programs of under 6 months, there's no problem at all. You can do that. All right, let's see who's next here. And I'm looking for cues, you guys. I'm looking for cues. Here's a quick one I'll hit, Dinesh. Your degree does not need to relate to your work experience when you're applying through Permanent Residence Express Entry. It's your job duties and all of the activities in the lead statement of the NOC that you have to meet, not the employment requirement section. Syed, you can absolutely submit your parents' visitor visa application. Yeah, there's nothing stopping you from making that request. Ultimately, whether or not immigration will accept it is an entirely different thing. You know, when immigration treats a citizen and a permanent resident different than they do a temporary individual. And so in your situation, Syed, like when you file the application, they could just hold it and not process it until the travel restrictions open up. You know, but understand that, yeah, the likelihood of them coming is going to be determined specifically by the orders in council that are in place at the time in which she's ready to travel. Okay, Sunny is talking about an exchange rate that's happened since AOR in January of 2020, and now his proof of funds is below the required funds. My eligibility is already cleared. Should I send an updated proof of funds through the web form? Yeah, Sunny, it wouldn't hurt at all to do that. That's actually good practice. Okay, great. Gurjeet, thank you. I'm going to give one of these. Okay, so this is great. This really, really makes me happy. Thank you so much for sharing this, because what Gurjeet says is I got my AOR and yes, I made some mistakes. Okay, so ultimately it comes down to the seriousness of those mistakes, Gurjeet, because that will really give a very, very telling response. So I'm going to ask you, Gurjeet, can you please explain what the mistakes were for everybody so that I can take a look and see whether they were just inconsequential or something that was really, you know, like you're still got a shot that your application is going to get refused. So let me know what the nature of those, that acknowledgement of receipt. Let me know what the nature of the mistakes were. What were the mistakes that you made? Okay. And then what I'm going to do, I know that, and you guys, there's just so many questions here. I know it's just not possible to get through everyone, but for you, Gurjeet, if you can actually, wow, now I've lost your question here. I'm going to leave you up there because I don't even think I'm going to be able to find it. Yeah, there's so many questions that are being posted. Oh, wow. Wow, this is amazing, you guys. I wish that I had the ability to answer everyone's question. It's just not possible. Now I'm trying to find Gurjeet's and I don't think I can. Okay, well, it is what it is. Okay, so the reality is, Gurjeet, if you can just post, and I'm going to wait for your response. If you are watching, I'm not sure if you are, But Gurjeet, your question here, what mistakes did you make? Okay. Yeah, Vivesh suited up the e-lawyers here. That's correct. I'll just wait a second and see if Vishvesh can tell me exactly what the mistake was. And I can hear all the questions being posted here. The reason it makes a difference is because it's one thing to have something small like a postal code, a letter off in a pay slip, which really doesn't make a difference. And it's an entirely other thing to have, say, maybe you didn't have all you had for completion of graduation was your letter and not an official transcript where they've told you to include that. That's really what I'm looking at to see if there's opportunities to correct that after the fact. Okay, it looks like Vishvesh is probably, with all the questions that are being posted, wasn't sure if he was going to get answered or not. So, okay, so we'll leave that one. I'll maybe jump down and check again. It'd be very curious to see what the mistakes were on that one. Okay, let's see here. Once again, we've got a ton of people just trying to catch up to where I'd left off with the questions. Wow, tons and tons of questions. Let's see here. Hang in there, guys. Okay, Kishan, we'll jump to his. Okay. All right. So, and actually here it was Gurjeet. So Gurjeet, yeah, if you have your AOR and you made some mistakes, I'd love to hear what those mistakes were. Okay, so Kishan says, one thing, if someone had uploaded the language test confirmation date, but no results, the application is subject to rejection, right? Absolutely, Kishan. That's something that's not going to be negotiable. If the test had not been taken, it will get refused. Manoj, I'm going to click on here. Right here, Manoj, you said that you didn't disclose a U.S. refusal in your TR to PR pathway. That can be a huge issue. It can lead to misrepresentation and a 5-year bar from Canada. Okay. Yes, Kishan. Yeah, it is Kishan says very sad news. It absolutely is. Yep, the application is going to be rejected. That's right. Okay, so I'm going to look for cues. Yep. Everybody, condolences. Thank you so much for also lending yours along with mine to his family. Okay, let's see what's next. Okay, so MP says that they forgot to mention 2 dates that they went to the US because they didn't know the dates. I mentioned whatever dates I know. I haven't spent more than 2 hours in the US. It will be an issue. It all comes down to how you describe that letter of explanation. And if you indicate that you did your best to answer the questions, but you just can't remember, then at that stage, that's where then how you answer that LOE is what really makes the difference. And like there is no real right way or wrong way to do it. What you're doing is you're just going to make sure that what the response that you provide helps the officer to understand that you were very, very keenly aware of your what was expected of you, and that your answer may not be complete, but it's not for a lack of trying. That's really what it comes down to. Okay. Am I doing student visas? We do everything pretty much, Vina. Or Vini, sorry. Okay, this is great. So, Deep says, how can a web form designed only for EE possibly help in correcting TR to PR mistakes? Will the officers be able to see those web forms submitted to TR to PR pathway? Understand this, Deep. What you're proving is that you're using whatever means are available to you to fix your situation. You are following the path that they've told you to. The fact that a TR to PR is not available on the list yet is not your problem. And if an officer comes back and says you don't have an application submitted, you know bloody well you've submitted your application. And if their process for linking that is not in place or set up yet, that is not your problem. what you're doing is showing that you're using your best efforts to correct before they refuse your application. That's what you're getting at. So they can choose to say, oh, we don't have any file, we're not going to add this. That's great. But you still have proof of making the request, proof of trying to update your file. And that's what I will use in the event that there's a decision that was just really cruel. Okay. All right, let's keep zipping through here. Okay, Hitesh, I'm going to ring the bell right here. So Hitesh says, Mark, when I calculated the score, it says 375, but when I open the pool, it says 360. It doesn't give me additional 15 points. Probably because the way you answered your questions with respect to your education, it says, was more than 50% of your program completed in English? It was like English language. Many people click yes, and when you do, then you no longer get credit for that education. That could be the reason. The answer should be no. And that's probably why, but if you want to sort it out, Hitesh, we can take a look at it. And the best way to do that is with consultation. Okay, we are into overtime, guys, here. I'll get to a few more questions. Remember, any of you that have questions, any of you that are just uncertain, understand that when you have things that are very, very specific to you, it becomes really, really tough for me to give you any kind of a direct, specific answer in the context of these live Q&As. And so what I recommend is you go over here to our website. You can click on the link below, and you can actually go in and book a consult, and you can schedule it right now for any of the 3 lawyers that we have, immigration lawyers within our firm, and we would be delighted to work with you. All right. Okay, let's see. We'll answer. We will. Yes, David is a legend, Twinder. Okay, we're going to finish off with a couple last questions, and then we'll wrap this up. Okay, so this is a good one. So Nagoyan says, current occupation is barista, but when I looked up the lead job duties, the most suited my job is 6711, food accountant. I think you mean food counter attendant, I think. Can I still apply for TR to PR? If your knock code is not on the list and your duties don't match with a knock that's not on the list, or sorry, if your duties don't match with one of the knock duties on the list, then you won't be able to proceed. Okay, let's see. Okay, we'll finish off right here. Okay, so what if your essential employment contract is permanent part-time and you've worked 30 hours per week for a year? Does that make you eligible under essential category? Yeah. They don't care whether the employer calls you part-time or full-time. It's the hours that you've worked. And if you literally worked 30 hours consistently for the full 1,560 hours over 1 year, then you are just fine. So how your employer classifies your work history doesn't make a difference. All right. Okay, you guys, I want to, we'll just turn on our little bit of goodbye music here. Thank you so much for joining for another live Q&A. Watch the YouTube channel, okay? Because we're going to start producing more videos that are very specific to certain aspects of the immigration process. Things that are a little bit more easily consumable. Now, as I look at the list of the number of people that have been posting questions, it's crazy. There are so many questions that I just wasn't able to get to. And that's, I wish I could sit here all day and answer questions all day, but it's just not possible. And so with the day-to-day work that I'm doing, the work as the national chair of the Canadian Bar Association's immigration section, this is what I'm able to commit to, you guys. So I hope this is helpful. I hope in answering some people's questions, it also answered yours. And as always, understand that, that we're all in this together, and this channel is really, it's for all of you. So thanks for tuning in. You guys are the reason that this channel's been such a success. Make sure to subscribe if you have not. ring the bell or check it off so that you get notified when I go live, because I do quite frequently. And always come back and check for new content. Remember, I'm constantly producing new videos. I'm constantly bringing on guests from my Immigration Nation and my podcast, and we're releasing those. Do check those out. All right, guys, Mark Holthe, Canadian immigration lawyer, saying thank you once again for joining me in another Canadian Immigration Live Q&A, and tell all your friends about it. Take care, everybody. See you again next week.